wasn't easy being his daughter. It wasn't easy being a daughter at all, especially when all he wanted was to have a son, and all I wanted was to be just that. You would have thought it would have united us, as though the ghost of what could have been, the shadow of a boy, lurked within my identity. But it didn't. Forced us apart, really. Polar opposites. I wonder if he'd really have you believe that. I have a striking suspicion that both he and I were a little closer than either of us would like to believe. I didn't want daughters. His voice booms out into the room, roaring like thunder. I was expected to have sons. His voice slices through my 13-year-old heart. It was in that moment that I realised biology had always been my destiny within my father's imagination. It explained everything. The lack of touching. No cuddles here, keep a stiff upper lip and carry on. The lack of conversation. Children should be seen and not heard. The lack of contact. I'm too busy with work and fishing than to interact with children. But it was not children. It was daughters. The lack of a father in my life related directly to his lack of virility, his inability to produce a male heir. And so he ignored his daughters. He shunned me. If only he'd known what was lurking deep inside all along. The first time I tried on a suit and tie, I was 6 years old, rooting through my father's closet, a forbidden place of paisley ties, golden cufflinks, rows and rows of dark suits. I remember reaching up and touching the fabric with reverence, trying to tie a tie. A half Windsor knot I knew was the knot to have, but my infantile fingers refused to perform the correct moves. My suit jacket reached down to the floor as I paraded round the bedroom. My voice dropped an octave, ecstatic and fulfilled, finally being me. The eye, watching through the crack in the door, was transfixed. This was his wish, but he did not say a word. Buttoned up to the neck and too tight to speak. Silence, as always, when dealing with the daughters. Boxer shorts moved into the laundry basket without much fuss or notice. Age 17, my hair cropped short. A baby butch in the making, my chest bound. Not packing, but thinking about it. I proudly parade my new sweetheart on my arm. At 23, she is hot. All frilly skirts, high heels, and legs that go up to her eyeballs. You, Father, were bemused. After so much silence, you interjected, distancing me. Your cold, stilly comment reaching deep into my veins, embarrassing me, turning my body to stone. You're not one of those, are you? There was a time when I loved it. There was a time when all I wanted to do was feel his arms around me. Do you remember that day at the hospital when you picked me up? bad news that day. You thrust your hand in mine, a reaction, and we walked together, joined. I wanted that in my life. I wanted that moment to last forever. I melted into that moment. Energy flowing through our hands, binding, not polarizing. I imagined that our love flowed through us like electricity. But you let go as soon as you noticed what you were doing. My cold, clammy hand dropped like one of his dead fish. I'd wanted your love, always. See, to be his daughter, if only we'd realised, was to be his son. To be family. To be loved. To go from father to dad. I love you.
Is it Isis' question?
You can ask
I'm
a
just going
question if you
to
like.
the way that you said I love you at the end, it sounded really awkward.
Mhm.
Do you actually ever say that to each other?
No.
Never
No.
at all.
No, I don't think we would ever say that. It's never been said, and I certainly don't think that it ever would be said. I think there's too much boundary, and I think the only way perhaps it would be said if perhaps that was a coffin and it opened up this dialogue of this freedom to speak, where I would feel totally free and safe to actually, say something and offer perhaps that I love you, and be safe in the knowledge that if one didn't come back, it's not going to come back anyway. Rejection, because there's a body there, so it can't speak. So there's where if I offered that in real life and nothing came back, I think that would bother me.
Would you expect nothing to come back?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah, definitely.
It's quite sad.
Yeah. It is. But true. Would anyone else like to ask a question?
Just as a parent myself, I think there's a great expectations from parents, from sons and daughters, to perform as a parent.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I always feel like I'm a person. And for my son, it was probably a big disappointment because I don't play football.
Okay.
And I'm not with the dads cheering or pushing my son in sports. And from the daughter, I might have been, gave the same disappointment as you had, because I like fishing and I probably wouldn't know what to do with a daughter. Although I'd give her love, I'd know how to love her, but I might not have had as much in common. So I wonder if it's that expectations from a parent, boys or girls, that we have, the same as I probably had expectations from my parents, that at the end of the day they're just people and they get things wrong.
I understand.
They're absolutely clever or stupid or whatever, they're just people.
That's true.
At the end of the day, daughters might be more expecting from their dads, because that's how they get stuff. So
I think a basic interaction, though, on a level that includes love, but perhaps includes just every day as well, is not only expected by a child, but I think if you're going to bring a child into the world, I think then that's there's a level of commitment that you should be willing to give, and not to bring a child into the world and then plant it over that.
Oh no, sure, I understand the love bit and I understand the commitment, and I think most parents do deliver it, but as far as a rule book or how to do it and how to meet your expectations, I think that's what we miss completely, because
But don't you think there's a basic minimum?
Absolutely, but I do think that a lot of parents get it wrong. because we're parents, maybe we're vain, maybe we're selfish, and maybe we didn't realise what kids' commitment are. It's a massive commitment to bring up a child. You know, we learn to drive and we have to pass a test. No one educates us how to bring a baby up to adulthood and how to do it correctly. I've made plenty of mistakes. I'll be the first to
But you're the first to admit it.
Oh yeah, but
and
I still got it wrong. It still
But-
doesn't let me off.
It doesn't let you off, but the fact that you were the first to admit it and you say you've made a mistake, I think there's a whole lifetime in a child's life, or a whole lifetime in perhaps my life, where a dialogue could have been opened and wasn't or hasn't been so far.
Maybe if I reverse it and say, well, when I grew up and become an adult, rather than blame my dad or my mum for things that they have or haven't done, suddenly you start thinking, actually, now it's up to you.